people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to...
You just got to love Test cricket. This time yesterday, the West Indies looked to me like they were perhaps going to be dug out. But a wonderful bowling performance has given them just a little bit of hope. And it now seems that we're in for what should be a crack of a climax in this Test match. Hello, everyone. Welcome to On Tour as we continue to look at the West Indies and South Africa series in St. Lucia and Barry Wilkinson. Test number 2, day number 3. South Africa, struggling on 73 for 7, in the end fought their way to 174 to set the West Indies a victory target now of 324 with 2 days left. Let's look at the scorecard. South Africa 298 and, like I said, 174. Thanks mainly to Rassie van der Dusen, who made his 75, along with Kagiso Rabada, who had a top score 40 in turn. When I say top score, his highest score ever in Test cricket. And 70-run partnership there, putting the South Africans into a much better stead than they were at 73 for 7. Kemar Roach, a fantastic bowling performance, 4 for 52. He really deserved a 5-wicket haul. And it was Kyle Meers who broke the back of that South African batting with a beautiful spell of 3 for 24. The Windies closing day 3 then with just 15 without loss. They now need 309 more runs to win what should be a really good Test match finish. Let's go to our panel now. Of course, we have former Barbados and West Indies fast bowler Tino Best. And in the middle there, Johnny Barron, who's, of course, covering this for the BBC as an international commentator. And the last but not least, one of the best ever, the Guyana and West Indies former Test captain, Sir Clive Lloyd. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the programme. Tino, you said on the programme yesterday that the West Indies had the capability of bowling the South Africans out for 110. A lot of people vilified you on social media. People even called me saying, Barry, why do you allow Tino to talk so much nonsense on your programme? But you almost had it right. They were 73 for 7 and they just didn't close them out. How do you feel about the West Indies bowling effort?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, Barry, it's not about the message. People forget the message and want to kill the messenger. But really and truly, having the opportunity to play for West Indies at the highest level, I know that when it comes to Test cricket, it's a very tricky situation in that third innings, especially when you got a big lead. And I just felt that on that surface and with the West Indies firepower, I know that the bowlers are very skillful. Once they stick to their task and they remain very patient, I always thought that they had an opportunity to really bowl or restrict that South African batting lineup for 120. Because I know, honestly, South Africa was going to come and take their foot off the gas somewhat. And West Indies could have struck there with having them being a bit complacent. Well, 73 for 7, I was smiling, I was saying, 120, guys, 120. But then they got away. But really and truly, I honestly believe that West Indies have an opportunity to win this game. They're going to start this morning, a fresh fourth innings. No wickets gone as yet. So I just believe that the guys, once they're back to their potential and back all day, I think they have an opportunity to win this game. And I'm backing them. I'm a West Indian. That's why I want to see win.
So Clive Lloyd, you're definitely a West Indian. What do you think about the situation of the match?
Well, yes, cricket is a game of great uncertainty. And the point is that they put themselves, the bowlers, in all the games have been putting them in a very good position. But the batters got a good start and just didn't carry on. And if you notice, not a lot of big scores in the 2 Test matches so far. I think it's the biggest score was from the Cork. So if you look at all the other scores, they're 70s and 60s. If some of our batters had done their job once they got started, they would have been in a much better position. And then we gave away 40-odd extras. You cannot do that in a Test match and expect to be in the ascendancy. But the point is, they brought themselves back, and it's quite obvious that they had a very good chance of chasing a smaller total. And where they wouldn't have a second new ball in this situation, they probably would have a second new ball, and that might cause some problems if we lose wickets early. So it's all there. If we can just apply ourselves, and when you're in, stay in. And the point is, this team does well when the captain stays around because he is a fighter, and he gives the other players, the other batsmen, a bit of the energy that is needed. So the first couple of hours would be quite interesting, and Tino was right. He understands the game, he knows the situation, and he doesn't. He's not going into a mental home. He's quite sound.
Johnny Barron, listen, let's add some balance to the discussion. Van der Dusen, this is a man that continues to pull South Africa out of some deep holes. It's not the first time. Let's look at his innings of 75, batting extremely well. And like I said, they were dead and buried almost at 73 for 7. That innings of 75 was just brilliant. Talk me through that innings.
Yeah, I think Van der Dusen was very impressive. He averages 62 in this Test series. Bear in mind, Quinton de Kock above him averages 118. Actually, below that, nobody else averages over 32. It goes to show that there's been possibly a sort of an opportunity missed or two. But he batted for West Indies, but he batted really nicely all the way through the course of the day. He was striking at about 50 runs per 100 balls, which is a fair lick in this game, and certainly in the West Indies. And what he needed actually was a little bit of support, and he found that in Kagiso Rabada with his Test best of 40. And again, that 8th wicket partnership was the killer for West Indies after what was an exceptional day. But Van der Dusen, excellent with the bat once again.
Tino, I leave Kemar Roach to you because he's been working so hard at his game, you can tell. 4 for 52 by far West Indies' best bowler yet again.
Yeah, I mean, Kemar's been around for a very long time. And I mean, we know about the serious shoulder injury that he had, Barry. And, if he wanted to prolong his career, he had to add something to his arsenal. And he's added his skill level. His skill level has gone up tremendously. He's not a 150-kilometer bowler anymore. He's hovering about 130, but he's so skillful. And that's what happens when you give players the opportunity to grow. And you don't cut them short when they don't perform and then pick and choose them when they play. So he's developed his skill. I remember he had that little period about 2 or 3 years he wasn't in the West Indies team, but he was doing well regionally, and he was really learning how to really swing the ball. And he's bowling wonderfully, and that little stint in England as well has really sharpened him somewhat as well. And I think he looked tremendous. I hope he can go strength to strength, and I hope that we can get an Azari Joseph in there, because we know how Shannon is injury prone, to really back up Kemar. I think if we got someone that can bowl really quickly, that would even help Kemar get more wickets, as Sir Clyde alluded to on the last show.
Well, Sir Clive, you would have perhaps led the best four-prong pace attack the West Indies has ever had. You talk about Kemar Roach, you talk about getting in Azari Joseph, but you've got a young man there by the name of Clive Lloyd that continues to take wickets and does very well for the West Indies. How do you assess Clive Lloyd in this West Indies bowling lineup?
I think he's a great asset to them. He bowls a very good line. And as I said the other day, that he moves the ball around. It's just that he's not he's a very good cricketer. And I think once he gets his batting back together, I think he'd be a great asset to the team. And he bowls for long spells, and he gets wickets, so I think they've got a gem there, and I hope that he continues to play it. I just want him to get some runs, because I think he's a good striker of the ball, and it's just his shot selection might be a little awry at the moment.
All right, you're watching On Tour. When we come back, Johnny Barron has a look at the conditions of the day, because the rain did fall on day 3 quite a bit, and that's why there was no play before 1:45. When we come back on tour, we also take in a couple of comments from the viewers. Stay with us.
To the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand.
So welcome back to On Tour then. Of course, the West Indies and South Africa resuming shortly. The West Indies are 15 without loss. They need 324 to win. That's a further 309 more runs. Johnny Barron, talk to me about the conditions of the day. How much did that play on the South Africans being bowled out for 174? And how much will that play going into day 4? Conditions. Talk to me about them.
It's a very good question, Barry. I think conditions, certainly it was a little bit moist at the start with losing, well, the majority of the first, or most of, well, all of the first session through to rain, and therefore there was a little bit of zip in the air, wasn't there? And that certainly assisted the seam and swing of the West Indies this morning. And critically for the West Indies, the first time they've demolished South Africa inside 50 overs. Everybody has talked about this St. Lucia pitch being a pitch that is a new ball pitch, and you've got to do the damage early. And that's exactly what the West Indies did this morning. I thought they used the conditions with great skill. As far as tomorrow is concerned, I think Van der Dusen was suggesting that the pitch played a little bit more placidly today, but I think that's the value of staying in a period of time that he did. I think it'll still be very fresh tomorrow morning, and I think with that new ball, what is it, 5-6 overs old, I think it'll be extremely tough first up. The key for West Indies is how they're positioned, how they're placed after 50 overs when the batting gets easier in St. Lucia. That will be the key tomorrow.
Yeah, what will also be one of the keys is the fitness of Roston Chase. Roston Chase went off of the field. He had, I think, something wrong with his ankle, it looked like. We're waiting to get the official predicament as to what happened with Roston Chase, but we're waiting to see if he will indeed bat and how serious that injury was. I have an email, and Tino, this email is for you. It's about Shannon Gabriel. It's from one of our viewers, Gaynell Marshall from Barbados. And she says, whose idea was Shannon Gabriel? What kind of dedicated athlete spends more time off the field than on the field, only to reappear to undo the work that was done so expertly laid out today? Of course, she's alluding to the fact that Gabriel again went off the field injured. She's suggesting that Gabriel has had a very one-dimensional style of play. Either he gets a wicket or he doesn't. And are we to believe that Alzarri Joseph would have been the bigger gamble against even a rebuilding team like South Africa? She wants to get your analysis and your thoughts on Shannon Gabriel and why the selectors continue to pick Shannon Gabriel if they know that he continues to have these injury-prone incidents happening so consistently. Your thoughts on that, Tina Best, and how can we alleviate that problem?
Barry, I am just as dumbfounded as her. That's the honest truth. I don't know why we keep picking Shannon if he's going to be injured. Like, it's Test cricket. You have to bowl first innings, Barry. Give or take, you might go to bowl 20 overs. Second gig, you'll probably go to bowl between 15 to 20 overs again. That's between 35 to 40 overs a Test match. If you can't get through that, why are you playing? I don't know why, Barry. And Miss Marshall, I don't know why. I guess that's all I can say.
Sir Clive, I want to talk to you about injuries, and I want to talk to you about fast bowlers struggling with injuries and playing in the team. Is that really something that should be allowed? Because with Shannon Gabriel, it happens consistently that he's on and off the field quite often when he's in the 11. And it was a bigger surprise for many that he even played. Your thoughts on that, Sir Clive Lloyd?
Yes, I think the young players would want to, they would feel disappointed. I mean, here's a guy in 4 spells, nearly 5, he bowled 14 overs. Now, surely your fast bowlers, you want him to bowl 4 or 5 overs straight up. And if he can't do that, well then, what steps were taken to see that he was fit enough to bowl for long periods? How, who carried out that test? The point is, if you can't have your fast bowler and the guy who you think you want to frighten the opposition out is running in every minute to get treatment, and you have a young fellow, like Azari, who can bat and can field, and he's there, languishing somewhere in Antigua. And I think that is wrong. I think they made a mistake there, and I'm sure that they will realize they have done so. Because if they had an Alzari in the first innings and the second innings, I don't think they would have made as many runs. So really and truly, there was a boo-boo made there somewhere along the line. And I don't think that you should play anybody that's not fit. You must go through the period that you're bowling for long periods, 3-4 times, and checking on your muscles and so on. And I think the captain should know too, and the coach should know if the person is fit or not.
I ask you this now, Johnny Barron, in terms of the South Africans and in terms of how they will perhaps look at the opposition. When they look at the West Indies and they look at Shannon Gabriel, do you think that they are scared? Do you think it's a bowler that they fear? And do you think that he has really given has really given that kind of scare factor that the West Indian selectors might have thought that he would have given?
I think Shannon Gabriel, up until relatively recently, was one of the quickest around on the world circuit. I think if you look at his performances in England last summer, that's only a year ago, of course. He took, 9 or 10 wickets in that first Test match. And, of course, he struggled in back-to-back Test matches since then. He then, of course, I think he bowled manfully in New Zealand, and actually he put up a pretty good fist of it in that second Test in Bangladesh. And actually his wickets were quite key in that game, or certainly in the first Test as well. I think he's not fit. He's not getting the game time that he needs. There's no domestic cricket for him to play in. He didn't come and play in England. He's short of a gallop, and I just don't think he's the bowler that he could be if he was 100% fit. As far as coming off the field, I'm amazed the umpires weren't stricter on that. There's a number on the circuit who just won't tolerate it. You can only leave the field for a sanctioned loo break. You can't be going off changing your footwear or whatever, having a rub down. That's completely against IC regulations. So I'm amazed he got away with what he has done in this Test match. Clearly not fit, really, for the 5 days.
Yeah, very good assessment there from all of you gentlemen. Again, Marshall, I hope that answered your question. All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll hear from Rassie van der Dusen, and we also hear from Kemar Roach as we wrap it up for On Tour before we hand it back to the live action. Stay with us.
To the top, it's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand, it's time to the top, it's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand, it's time to...
Welcome back then to On Tour as we wrap it up and continue to look at the preview before we go into day 4 of the Test match. Well, Rassie van der Dusen batting extremely well for 75, and equally Kemar Roach, his 4-wicket haul. Let's hear from both of those gentlemen.
I've been focusing really hard on my skills for the last couple of years, and I've been reaping the rewards. The hard work has been paying off, so it's all about keeping momentum going, obviously, keep getting wickets for the West Indies and keep putting ourselves in positions to win. That's important.
What was different today? It was an outstanding, strong start from you guys with the ball. What was different?
Belief. The guys obviously know we were behind the 8 ball. We didn't bat as well as we should in the first innings, so it's all about bringing ourselves back into the game. I thought we had a great belief this morning, good meeting, clear plans, and we just went and execute.
The South Africans were dependent on their senior players in that first Test match. They put their success in that down to a lot of their guys, their top guys performing, have been around for a while. Is that the case with you? Are you always the sort of guy in the change room who says, I'm going to stick up my hand here, or thinks, and also then does the performance out in the middle?
Yeah, I always think about doing it. Obviously, I want to be on the pedestal, obviously, when it comes to performances. It doesn't always go the way you want, but it's all about belief, always about having that confidence in going out there and obviously putting your best foot forward. So for me, that's just my role in the team. I'm one of the senior guys. Obviously, I have to lead from the front, so I always want to lead from the front, and that's just as simple as that.
I've been watching you guys for some time now, and a very impressive side. And one thing I've always liked about the team is the work that's all-rounder like Jason Holder does. Batting and bowling, I just think maybe you should improve his catching. What do you think?
Best in the world. I think he's one of the best slip catchers I've seen for West Indies cricket, definitely. Has a very good success rate, and he's safe hands down there. We know once it goes to him, you're probably out. So, yeah, I think he's been doing fantastic for us as a all-rounder, number 1 in the world at the current moment. And yeah, his energy in the dressing room is amazing. His communication is spot on. So it's good to have him around for sure.
But how good was that full-length dive today? That catch?
One of the best I've seen for a while. He took one in New Zealand as well, but he told me that this one was better. So I'll take his word for it.
You mentioned belief in the team. You've obviously got belief that you guys can win this Test match and level the series. What's important about first up tomorrow? First
hour, obviously, to come in tomorrow prepared mentally to grind it. The South African team has a fantastic bowling lineup, so it's all about getting yourself in and staying in. That's what's very important for us tomorrow. So the guys are raring to go. I have some very strong mental guys in there, so once we get them on the park and ready to go there, we should be in for a good Test match.
Happy with that. It was a bit of a hiccup there at the start of our innings, but we came into the night knowing that we're on the front foot and we want to play like we're on the front foot. And happy with the position we're in now. It would have been nice to have a wicket tonight, but we're backing ourselves to get the job done tomorrow.
So 50 for 6 at one stage. That was a bit of a shock to the system, I guess, for the guys.
Yeah, again, like I said, we wanted to play like we were on the front foot. Sometimes this pitch with a Duke's ball, it's a bit tricky to bat on, and you have to wait for the ball to become a bit older before you can really open up your game. So, they bowled well at the start. Credit to them, and their fielding was superb in the slips there, especially. So that did put us under a bit of pressure. But again, we knew we were on the front foot and we were ahead of the game, and we would, if we can apply ourselves for a little while, we'll be in a strong position.
Great stuff from the West Indian and the South African. Now, final thoughts, gentlemen. Tino, I'll come to you first. You're the most positive. Can the West Indies win this? Call it. What's going to be the score at the end of day 4? Is it going to be West Indies winning? Is it going to be going into day 5? Or is it going to be South Africa would have won the test? Tell me what you think.
I'm an optimist. On behalf of the West Indians, I'm going to go 285 for 5 at the end of the 4th day. Oh, come on, Barry.
No, hold on. This is just my point. If it's 285, they probably would not end the day's play because they will only need another 45 runs or so to win. So come on, okay.
No,
I'm not going to prompt you.
Thank you. So I'm thinking,
okay.
Yeah, 285 for 5 or 285 for 6. I'm saying that because the South Africans are going to tie the West Indians down, and they're going to have to make ugly runs. They have to back themselves. They're not going to go helter-skelter and score 300 runs in a day off that South African bowling attack. I'm saying to you in the context of the game and how the pitch is playing, if the West Indies bat, or if we get 2 or 3 batsmen batting like how Van der Dussen batted, I think we can be 280 odd for 5 or 6. And it sets up the game beautifully going into the 5th day. We only want another 40 odd runs with 4 or 5 wickets in the hutch. But what I'm saying to you, Barry, at the end of the day, as a West Indian, I have to be positive. On the part with the South Africans now, I think that they'll be looking to bowl West Indies out for no less than 220, 230. But if the West Indies back to their potential, I think that they can end the day in a position of strength.
Johnny Barron, prediction for day 4?
Well, South Africa, of course, are very strong favourites, but there are precedents here. Of course, the West Indies chased 395 in Chattogram, and let's go back to Headingley in 2017, a very, very similar chase. 318, extraordinary. They chased that down. And actually, the backdrop is quite similar as well. In the previous Test match before that, they got bundled twice at Edgbaston for around about 100 and lost in 2 days. They've got, you've got to look at that performance and how they responded as to how they should go about things tomorrow. The absolute key for them is how and if they can survive the new ball. If they can get through to lunch unscathed or 1 or 2 down, they have a chance. But it's going to be tough.
So Clive Lloyd, last word with you.
Well, it's obviously it's going to be a difficult task, and but the point is, as I said, if they have to use 2 new balls, we could be in a bit of trouble. But if we do not lose any wickets early, then I think it could be quite an interesting afternoon. We have guys there who can score quickly. It depends on how the pitch plays, how the spinner handles the situation. So really and truly, it is good. It could be interesting. And as a West Indian, you wonder, if we can win this game, boy, it would make so many people happy. It would give this team such a lift. It would be wonderful. Don't forget, we haven't made 200 runs in the series. So it is going to be.
You've tacked that on. You've tacked that on like VAT, like value-added tax. It's so wonderful we can do it. Don't forget we haven't made 200 runs in the series. But I get your point.
Yes, but we have to look at that too, because the point is, if we can get past that, well then, you have wickets in hand. It's going to be interesting. It will be an interesting day if we do not lose early wickets.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We're out of time. We've gone over time, as a matter of fact. I want to thank you, Tino Best, Johnny Barron, and Sir Clive Lloyd. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue to be on tour with the Windies, South Africa versus West Indies. Bye-bye for now.
West Indies.
We are the West Indies.
That's right. are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to